Hey, uh, sorry for like the weird shadows on my face. My mom put all these like Halloween bulb plants up, so it's gonna look weird. Um, what's up? Uh, so tonight I want to talk about um some books that I've been reading. I haven't been on Facebook, and so I've had time to actually live life. And I started a new job, so I'm super tired. It's amazing how tiring it is to be bored. It's like super draining to be bored all day. Um, I want to talk about not giving a shit because it's a really powerful tool that you can use. When I was a pro life activist, which I did for many years, I would travel around with my best friend at the time, and we had this group. I'm not going to tell you the name of it because it still exists, and they don't want to be associated with me, and I don't want to be associated with them. Uh, but we went and we would speak. We had these public speaking gigs all over the country, and we would speak mostly to college students, mostly to females. We would talk about abortion, specifically like pro life feminism, which we were trying to make a thing. And we would go give these presentations, and my friend would have this PowerPoint that she worked really hard on, and she had these notes, and she had it all scripted out. And it was good. People liked it. She was a good speaker. And then I would get up, and I usually had no idea what I was going to say. Um, kind of like when I do these, every once in a while, I'll have like a vague outline. I'll jot some things down. Sometimes when I do YouTube videos that I edit, I'll know what I'm going to say, but I never like rehearse it. I don't believe in scripts. Um, and I would get up there and just talk, you know. I really believed in like, and still believe in letting it come to you in the moment. And the best things that I've ever done were that way. When I went to Prague to get my daughter, she was a donor embryo. It was a last minute decision. I booked my plane ticket 3 weeks out. Everybody told me I was fucking crazy. And I got like the ultimate human child out of it. Um, but with fasting, with weight loss, it was kind of the opposite. And I think a lot of the reason was because for many, many years, I did what felt wrong because I was told that it was right. Uh, Count your calories, get on the treadmill, starve all the time. Anybody who has experienced both calorie reduction, like eat less, move more, and fasting knows the profound difference in how you feel. The hunger of like cutting calories and working out all the time is just this nagging, horrible thing that never goes away. Whereas the hunger of fasting is something that comes back periodically for the first few days, but it goes away after a few minutes. And then after three days or so, it's just gone and you find ease. I've been reading this book. I actually started reading this book more from a language acquisition viewpoint. It's called The French Art of Not Trying Too Hard. And it kind of looks and presents itself like sort of a fluffy airport read, but it's extremely profound. And most of the ideas in it come from the French philosopher Alain. And I can't find his works in English, and I'm not good enough at French to read them in French yet. So this book is the best I can do. Olivier Puyol is the author, and I highly recommend it. And he gives examples from the world of sports and music and writing, um, as well as the philosophy behind it, to talk about how powerful it is sometimes to just let go, to not aim at the thing that we want. Have you ever been, we've all experienced this, like beginner's luck. When I was 8 years old, I went with my campfire troop. We went bowling and I scored, like, I don't know bowling scores, but something that a pro bowler would score. Everyone was just in awe. Like, I'm an 8-year-old girl. Like, how did she do this? And I was literally like taking granny shots. I didn't care. I was just having fun. And all of the parents were gathered around, just like laughing. They couldn't believe it. I've never been able to reproduce that. I suck at bowling. I still love bowling, but we've all seen that one person who walks out onto a basketball court and just like sinks a 3-pointer without trying, and they've never played basketball before. Um, Beginner's luck exists because you don't care and you're not trying that hard. When I do well at things, usually it's because I kind of don't care and I'm not trying too hard. I started reading this other book totally for a different reason, found it in a different way, and had no idea how closely related that these two books would be. But we've all probably heard of this book because it became kind of big several years ago. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. Similar, uh, what he has to say is similar. He doesn't really delve into the philosophy too much. He's more practical. But what he says is that, and I'm only like halfway through it, but what he says is that we're never going to be happy. Not the way that we think of happiness as like, oh, all my problems are gone and I'm just abiding in the state of perfect bliss where I don't have to worry about anything and everything is just great. That doesn't exist. That's not life. Life essentially is struggle. I mean, that's the essence of Buddhism, right? Like that's the thing that we have to understand is that life is suffering. And the Eightfold Path, of course, is to take us out of that cycle of suffering so that we end the cycle of rebirth and we reach enlightenment, right? But what Mark Manson says is happiness is not about freeing yourself from problems, but about figuring out what problems you like solving and revolving your life around that. So, like, I've discovered I like solving the problem of weight loss. I think that if I ever get to the point where I feel like I don't need to work on my body anymore, I'll be kind of sad, right? This is just human nature. We exist to struggle, we exist to solve problems. There have been some psychological studies that show that when we get the thing we really want, whether it's the girl that we want or the fur coat that we want or even an Olympic gold medal, the feeling of joy and elation only lasts for about 15 minutes. Literally 15 minutes. You win your gold medal and you get like, I don't know, somebody like splooges champagne at you and you hug a lot of people and you cry on TV. And literally 15 minutes later, you're like, I don't know, you're thinking about something else, like the mozzarella sticks you're going to go eat at TGI Fridays or whatever. Hopefully you go somewhere better if you win a gold medal. But think about it, okay? Like, let's say that you want this thing online that you want to buy. Okay, let's say it's fur coat. People don't buy those anymore, but let's say that's what it is because it sounds really cool to me right now. So let's say that you're looking at it and you're like, oh my God, fuck yeah, I want that. And you put it in your shopping cart and you think about it and you go back and you read some more reviews and you take it out of your shopping cart. And then eventually it goes on sale and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to get this. And then you pull the trigger and you buy it. and you're like, and you think about it while you're waiting for it to get delivered. And then 2 days later, a week later, whatever, it comes to your house. And you're like, fuck yeah. And you take it out of the package and you look at it and you go try it on. And you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, I look cool. And you hang it up. The pleasure is in the anticipation. Once you get the thing, it's kind of already over. This is why Facebook works on people so well, because it's not getting the likes and getting the attention. It's wondering if it's there and going back and checking. It's what they, I forget the name of it, but it's the fact that the reward is randomized and we don't know if we're actually going to get it. It's anticipation, right? That's what makes us happy. That's what gives us the little dopamine kick that keeps us coming back, that keeps us buying shit online, that keeps us opening our Facebook, and that keeps us alive. Because think about it from an evolutionary standpoint. If you got your meat, if you went out on your hunt and you got your kill and you were just perfectly content to sit there and eat the meat until it was gone, what would happen? It's not good, right? We have to want to keep trying. We have to want to keep going. We have to keep wanting. Otherwise we die. And even though we're not out hunting for meat anymore, our brains still work the same way. So obviously I like solving these problems of ketosis and fasting, so I keep doing it. But how do we cope with how hard it is? That's the question that I find really interesting. When I was doing yoga a lot, like in my 20s, there was this video that I used to do, and it was really hard. It was hatha yoga, so you have to hold the poses for a long time sometimes. And I remember there's this one part, which is really intense, long hold of warrior pose. And I was fat, so it was even harder. And the lady says, as you're holding the pose, she says, find ease in the pose. And I remember every time she would say that, I would be like, fuck you, lady, because it's so hard in that moment. But as you continue to do it, you learn what it means to find ease. What it doesn't mean is push, push, push. Push as hard as you can so that all of your limbs are shaking and you can't breathe and you're sweating bullets. This is not the way you're supposed to do yoga. Yoga, there's a concept of ahimsa, which is nonviolence. So what you're supposed to do is push yourself right to the edge of your comfort, but stay comfortable. And then the next time you do it, that edge of comfort is a little bit farther and a little bit farther and a little bit farther. And that's how you get better. The Western way, the American way is hurt yourself, hurt yourself, hurt yourself. And look, there's something to be said for that at times, at times. But you can't continue this all the time. What you should be trying to do is find ease in it. Is it a problem that you like to solve? Because that is the key to happiness. Find a way to enjoy it. That's going to mean different things for different people. For some people, it might mean you have to do fasts of shorter duration. For some people, it might mean you do longer duration. You get through the first few days and then you get to the easy part. Okay. So I'm finding ways to find ease in the pose, right? To enjoy solving the problem of how to fast. It really is the secret to life. These sort of two things that I'm discovering right now, like finding the problems that I like to solve and finding a way to have what they call in Zen Buddhism, they call it beginner's mind. This is also a really important concept in everything in life, is to accept that you're probably wrong. Look back at everything that you've thought in your life, all of the times that you've been wrong about people, about things. I mean, we used to think that the the solar system revolved around the earth. I personally used to think that the only way to lose weight was calories in, calories out, even though it actually never really made intuitive sense to me and it always felt bad. There's so many things that we think that are wrong. Like that person you thought was perfect for you who turned out to be a fucking monster. The things you think right now, a lot of them, are almost definitely wrong. Um, so instead of clinging to being right, let yourself have beginner's mind. Um, accept that you might be wrong about whatever it is. And also let yourself be bad at things. That's always been very hard for me because I'm a perfectionist and I want to be good at everything I try and I want to be good immediately. And if I'm not good at it, I quit. And that's pretty common for people who are pretty smart and early in life stuff came easily to them. And eventually when we first hit the wall where something is hard, we're like, oh, fuck this, because we never learned how to try. I didn't make a B until I was in middle school, and I never tried at school. It was just fun. It was easy, you know. I did all my work quickly without thinking much about it, and then I went on and did whatever I wanted. I would watch my friends, have to study or have to try, have to work hard, have to get help with their homework. And I remember I had a close friend whose mother would always, our parents were really close friends, our mothers, and her mother would always say to my mother, why, oh my gosh, she just doesn't make good grades like Kristen. She's just not trying hard enough. And I would just be sitting there like, I don't fucking try. What's funny is that now she's really successful. Like, owns her own company and makes tons of money. But, she surpassed me by every metric because she learned how to try at a young age, and I didn't. When I got to middle school and got into algebra and math started to get hard, I didn't fucking know how to study. I didn't know how to try. I didn't know how to work. And I was like, I'm not doing it. And I had nobody there to be like, hey, do it. My mom was like, whatever. You know, she'll be fine. She's always made good grades. And then I wasn't fine and ended up flunking out of shit in high school because I just didn't try, didn't care. And I realized the paradox because it's supposed to be about not trying. But you know, it's about balance. The book that I'm reading gives the example of the soccer player Zidane, who was just like an angel on the pitch and had moments of just pure grace in his playing. He trained really hard to get to that point, you know. So it's not like you just come out of the womb and know how to play soccer like a miracle worker. You have to do the training, but you also have to enjoy it. If you don't like it, if you don't like golf, if you don't like going out there and hitting a million golf balls every day, you're never going to be Tiger Woods. It's the people who are miraculous are the ones who find ease in the pose. They enjoy the struggle so that it doesn't feel like struggle. The most magical moments are when you're working at something, you're accomplishing something, but it's easy. You don't have to try because you love it. It would be hard to anybody else, you know. Pretty much everybody has their thing that's true of. I have a couple of them, maybe two or three, but probably the biggest one being writing. And I've never been able to explain how to do it. But I got to a point where I started trying at it, and all the magic left me because what is that noise? Uh, because I started trying to publish. I used to just write for pleasure my whole life. From the time I was like 6 years old, I just wrote all the time. Didn't think about it. I had a notebook. I read Harriet the Spy, and I copied her idea of just having a notebook and writing in it all the time. And I filled spiral after spiral after spiral, starting in like the 5th grade, 4th grade, and I did that for like years. I didn't do it for any reason. Nobody was going to read it. Nobody ever has read it. They're in a box in storage. Um, no one cares. No one will ever care. No one's going to publish them after I die, you know? I did it for the joy of doing it. I wrote stories for the joy of writing them to see what would happen in the story. I sit down and start writing. I had no fucking idea what I was going to write. And then I decided that, oh, I'm a writer. I need to get paid for this. I need to publish this. I started trying. I got a writer's market. Now it's all online, but back then it was a book like that thick that cost like $35. Got my hands on one of those and started going through and submitting. And once you start submitting, you start thinking about what people want. You start thinking about what other people want. You start thinking about what you're writing, and then the magic leaves you. And for years, I didn't write at all. I haven't. I just started again. Also, another thing that happens is, social media became like a substitute for it. It was just enough of a writing component for me to no longer have the hunger. It satisfied it just enough. Well, I can make a Facebook post and then I get it out of my system. I don't need to go write. So, not writing anything, not, for years I also blogged, but that was a problem too. I lost the joy of it because I started thinking about the response I would get. Joy leaves. Be struggle, have to try. I don't want to do it anymore. Just like with acting, it became a struggle because I started, oh, I got to be professional. I got to go on all these auditions. I think about what they want. You don't know what they want. It doesn't matter what they want. That's the truth of art. It doesn't fucking matter what the people want. What artists is that you do what you want. I started writing again in the past couple months, and I sat down and I wrote an outline, not because I felt like I had to, because I wanted to. It's a story in my brain, and I was like, oh, I got to get this down. As soon as I had the outline, I stopped wanting to write it because, like, the joy of writing for me, the fun of it is that I fucking don't know what I'm gonna write. You know, I self-published and just so that I could be done with it. So I was tired of fucking around with it. The first line is he paid cash for the Winnebago. When I wrote that line, I had no idea who he was, why he paid cash, why he needed a Winnebago, where he was going in it, what was going to happen to him. The entire story, the entire novella was me discovering that. It was a lot of fun to write. It's like, I don't know how many thousand words. It's 20,000 or something like that. And I had a great time writing it. Um, Editing yourself is murder for an artist. Worrying about your art audience is murder for an artist. There's a saying, I think it might have been Hemingway who said, write drunk, edit sober. But the other secret, and this is also in Puriol's book, is that you can't edit as you go. That's also murder. Once you start, and I've discovered this for myself, once you start going back and reading what you just wrote, you're done. You can't do it at all. You have to just continue. Just continue. Just keep writing. Don't worry about what you already wrote. It's in the past. It doesn't exist. And this is like fasting in a way. This is why I kind of hate the Zero app, and I don't use it anymore. It becomes like a this thing that you're tracking, right? Like, oh, I have to manage this. And you go back and look, and you're like, okay, I'm 48 hours in, okay, I'm 60 hours in. And in a way, it can be motivating, but then you're focusing on what you've done and what you're about to do instead of right now. And through a long fast, particularly, is to embrace the pain of it and find a way to enjoy it. Find something to like about it. One of the hardest things for me is drinking, not alcohol, but just beverages. I try to chase the hunger away by drinking stuff. And then I end up wanting to drink better tasting things because that's more satisfying. So I end up wanting to put cream in my coffee or or drink a diet soda or something like that, instead of being content with just water or just nothing, because I don't really need anything. I just need to sit there and accept the pain that I'm feeling. That's the secret. To embrace it, to be inside of it, to enjoy the moment. That's the only way to find happiness. That's the only way to get through life. You can't keep chasing the end of hunger or the next dopamine hit. You can't keep looking for that thing that's going to fulfill you, because it's never going to come. You can't be the thing that chases. You have to stop aiming in order to hit your target. It's when we stop trying that we succeed. What is less seductive than someone seduce you? Once you know that someone really, really wants you, don't you stop wanting them, kind of, right? Like someone trying to get you, it's very unattractive. It's when you know they don't want you that they're interesting, right? That's true of everything. That person who's not trying to get you, boy, are they seductive, right? You have to be that person in everything. You have to stop aiming in order to hit your target. So for your next fast, however long it is, don't think about the end. Maybe try not even setting a goal. Instead of saying, I'm going to fast for 72 hours, or I'm going to fast for 7 days, or I'm going to fast for 16 hours, just say, I'm going to fast. Just let yourself be fasting and keep doing it until you have to stop. There's a psychoanalyst, I forget his name, French guy, but he had a patient come in, and she said, I can't leave my son alone. I'm constantly nagging him, and I want to stop, but I just see him making all these mistakes, and I just can't stop myself from wanting to stop him. And he told her, okay, I want you to cross your two fingers, your first and middle fingers. I want you to cross them and just leave them crossed. Don't until they uncross. Don't think about uncrossing them. Don't think about them being crossed. We're just going to sit here and continue with our session. And they did. And about 15 minutes later, he said, look down at your fingers, and they were uncrossed. And she just started weeping. And when she came back the next time, she said, my relationship with my son has improved because she learned how to accomplish something without trying to do it. The other lesson of that anecdote is the power of putting yourself back in the body. Oscar Wilde said, nothing can cure the senses but the soul, just as nothing can cure the soul but the senses. I said, you can't discipline the soul without disciplining the body, and vice versa. Be in your body. Most of us aren't anymore. And if you look around, when you go out places now in public, you'll see that most people are fat. The average American adult is fat. Like 70 something percent of Americans are overweight or obese. The average American adult is fat. And if you look around now, people dress like shit. People look slovenly. Because what's the point of dressing a body that you're not dwelling in? You're not taking care of it. You're not in it. You're just stuffing trash in your face and looking at screens. People aren't in their bodies anymore. Even if they go work out, they're just doing something they were told to do. They're not doing it for the joy. They're not doing it to train for some, thing that they want to accomplish. It's just, I'm supposed to do this. I'm going to get on the Stairmaster. I'm going to get on the treadmill. I'm going to do my HIIT workout. I'm going to go home, and on the way, I'm going to be fat. I'm going to be wearing Crocs. The office that I work in, everyone, except for a couple of older faculty members that I've seen, everyone is overweight. Most of them are obese, mostly female. They all dress like they had to get out of bed with the fucking flu and go to the pharmacy for more NyQuil. Like, that's the only justification I can see for dressing that way. Like, sweatpants and slip-on shoes and t-shirts and hair in a messy bun. I used to do that when I was fat. I dressed like shit because what was the point? Because I wasn't connected to my body and I had no pride in it. That's a different thing than what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a lack of care. And it's just like Mark Manson says in his book, when you decide not to give a fuck, which I think I've always had a lot of fuck it in me, but I have more as I get older. And paradoxically, as I get older, I also care more intensely about certain things, like my health, like fasting and nutrition. It's like that quote from Fight Club, something about learning how to really let things slide. Because when you discover your values, you discover what you really care about, that's what saying fuck it is about. It's not about just saying fuck everything. It's about saying I cannot give a fuck about all these things because I really give a fuck about these few things. It's sincerely, deeply, truly, and effectively giving a fuck about a few things so that you cannot give a single fuck about anything else. And someone's coming outside, so just letting the dogs out. I'm not going to give a fuck about that right now. Actually, I am. So I'm going to end this. It's gone long anyway, but hopefully some of this made sense. And I'm probably going to continue on similar topics in future live streams because I find it interesting. I'm still right in the middle of both of these books. If you have questions or comments, leave them below. Yeah, I guess that's it. I'm on a long fast right now. Tomorrow's going to be interesting because I'm going to try dry fasting at work. And it's so fucking boring that there's literally nothing to do except go make coffee and then drink it. Office work is like the scam of the century. You make all the money and all you do is send emails. And it sucks. This is not a problem that I want to solve, but it is solving a problem that I had before, which was that I needed money. So that's a topic for another video. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.